kick off our chat, I'd like to ask you to share a bit about your company and the problem that you are trying to solve. Let's start with Daniel.
Hi, I'm CEO and founder of Zondi, and I live in Armidale, where there's an abundance of ultrafine merino wool. So this started with our farmer friends over dinner trying to solve the problems of the world, and we decided to solve one closer to home. So let me explain the problem in a way that you'll understand. Imagine turning up on payday and your boss says, you made a mistake 3 weeks ago and we're going to dock your pay. You're going to immediately say, well, why wasn't I given the tools and support 3 weeks ago so that it didn't impact my pay? It's even worse for farmers in the wool industry. They get paid once a year. And when they get their price at sale, they're told, oh, you made a few mistakes, try again next year. So at Zondi, what we're doing is we're actually helping them get the tools so that they can actually fix those mistakes real time on farm, increase their revenue, and therefore increase the sustainability of their farms.
Awesome, very exciting, Daniel. And Zyrus, tell us a bit about VetChip.
Thanks. Yeah, first of all, great to see everyone here. VetChip has a interesting story, but I'll obviously condense it for the sake of time. Back in Perth, I'm one of the co-founders of an IoT product development company called Dana. Through a mutual contact, we were approached by a veterinary group led by a gentleman by the name of Garnet Hall, who is now the VetChip CEO. I am the CTO. And you know, we had a bit of a chat, and so Garnet came to us with this proposition of something that was largely described as putting a Fitbit under the skin. And I thought, you know, in my typical optimistic fashion, that's easy, we can go away and do that. And you know, he also obviously described the scale of the opportunity. It was, you know, if you think of all the animals that are cared for in the world, it's hundreds of millions. So, you know, I thought, yep, let's do this. And we went through iteration after iteration, and my optimism slowly waned with the pain of reality. But we had some massive tech challenges. We've overcome them now. We're starting to enter the market. You know, like even just doing the wireless charging through the skin, which I thought, well, there's wireless charging already. We had to pretty much throw out the rule book and come up with something quite proprietary, which now works fantastically. We're currently having a soft entry into the market. We're working with Kieran Ma, who's one of the trained a bunch of Melbourne Cup winning horses for performance optimization. We got a trip to the US at the moment for the Department of Defence, so that's really exciting. And I was really hoping today that we'd be able to say that we've closed or got over the line 2/3 of our Series B investment. We're looking to raise about 15 million. But it's just almost there. Yeah, obviously we're really excited. We've got a massive vision, amazing things which I can't obviously go into everything right now, but super exciting times for us, and yeah, really happy to be here today.
Awesome, Zyrus. A lot of exciting things happening at VetChip. So Australia will need to accelerate its transformation of the current farm system to address critical challenges such as climate change, emission reduction targets, supply chain disruptions, and the list goes on. And farmers play a critical role in this transformation. How technology could be efficiently used to tackle day-to-day challenges that farmers are facing? Let's start with you, Daniel.
Thank you. So farmers are absolutely aware of climate change, and they have the weather impact and the variability that impacts their work every day. So really respecting their intelligence and the expertise that they have looking after the land, it's about asking them what they need to do their job better. They have so many jobs that they have to do that we're unaware of. And so every farmer that Zondi works with is so excited because we actually are looking to give them tools to enable them to increase their revenue first and then improve other areas of the farm later. So what this does is it releases up resources. They care so much about the land, probably even more than all of us, and so they want to plant trees. They want to be part of carbon sequestration projects. However, it takes funding to be able to do that. So by releasing the revenue up for them, we're enabling them to have the money to do those projects, and the tools that we provide them have to be robust in those environments, work every time without the internet. So think of it like in terms of solar systems. We all know solar systems and batteries are great on houses, but does everyone have the $30,000 to invest in putting it in? Probably not. On a farm, same thing with carbon sequestration projects. I don't know if you know, they cost money. Farmers want to do them, they need the funding to be able to do so.
Great insights, Daniel. What is your opinion on that one, Zyrus?
Yeah, look, I think ultimately you've got to institute some change for all of these things, and with change comes a learning curve, and with learning curve comes sort of apathy generally. Largely due to the fact that the time is often not there. So it's really important, I think, that anything that you kind of do institute has an immediate and obvious benefit and some direct utility straight away. I think in that journey towards net zero, etc. Smart farm and IoT will largely underpin that, and I think it's more about how they're deployed rather than the concept as a whole. And I think given that in some ways when it comes to technology, farming's a lot behind the curve in a way, that's an advantage because there's all these other industries that you can learn from. So if you look in the corporate world, we had, going back to the 2000s, we had these massive monolithic systems. Then we started moving to microservices. Now there's this SaaS model, and it's more about having these kind of very bespoke SaaS systems that integrate their data into meaningful dashboards, et cetera, and things like that. So I think really it's making sure that the deployment of systems is palatable, it gives immediate utility, and you've got the ability to get utility from that specific thing and also drive that data into something where you can get a more holistic view of how to really start optimizing how things work.
Excellent point, Zyrus, and it provides a great foundation to my next question, which is how can data analytics improve decision-making process for farmers and vets, and how is your company implementing it? Let's start with you this time.
Yeah, thanks, Matthias. Look, I think there's all of this AI. It's really where a lot of the value of data is going to start kind of manifesting itself as we move forward. And the interesting thing that we're starting to see with AI is that the algorithms, etc., are starting to become more and more commodity, and the value is not so much in the, whether it's a neural network or a large learning model or whatever. The value's starting to come out of the data that's driving it. And so, at VetChip, this is something we're super excited about, because as VetChip proliferates, there's no doubt that we will have the largest mammalian animal data set in the world. And that's going to be just of huge value for whether it be for disease detection or disease outbreak or just improving training. There's just so many applications, and having the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, is a massively exciting for us. There's another point, but we're running short of time. I'll let Danielle get to it.
What is your opinion on that question, Daniel?
Thank you. So farmers make thousands of decisions every day, and so one of the challenges is actually making sure that they get the data at the time that they're making the decisions, not later in the night when they're tired looking at their computers. And so lifting that cognitive load by bringing some of those data points to their hand, so actually beside them at the time, really actually makes a big impact. And so we have really focused on taking a data point that already existed in the supply chain. So it was already happening at the sale process. So when their wool was ready for sale, it would be tested and they would find out what the micron of their wool was. But at that point, it's too late. It's sold. They actually can't make any impact to that. So we brought that data point all the way back to what we thought was where we were going to play, which was on the wool classing table. And so they could then put those fleeces into the right baskets, and therefore those baskets that had the lower micron wool was able to then be able to get higher revenue. What actually happened is the data point even went further back, and now in the last few months we've actually been in races where we are looking at individual sheep, parting the wool, putting the device on and deciding at that point in time, is this a sheep that goes into our breeding program because it's got such great quality wool and it is fine micron, or is this a sheep that just goes into our regular flock? So we're bringing the data back so that the farmers can actually start actioning it real time. They then get to use it later to find out, the average breeding value of their sheep overall, but actually having it in their hands is so critical.
Awesome. Thanks for the additional points, Daniel. We talk about the importance of data in decision-making process. However, not all companies have access to R&D capabilities. and to engage with research institutions can be critical for advancing their technologies. So how was your experience engage with research partners? What are the key challenges and successes? Let's start with you now.
So the RDCs have just been incredible. Research organisations like Compolitics, Fraunhofer, AgriFutures, University of New England have basically helped us reduce our tech development time by about 6 years. One of the challenges I do see is the bridge between pure research and commercialisation. So I do believe that it's really critical to allow startups like AgCent, myself, Tag to be the success story that actually takes that pure research out of the laboratory and puts it into the field. And all the RDCs are on board with that and are trying to implement processes and procedures to enable that. So I'll say a big thank you because it's been great working with all of them.
Awesome. How about you, Zyrus? What was your experience with VetChip engaging with CSRO and universities?
Yeah, look, I mean, research has been a fundamental part of getting us to where we are. And I think when it comes to research, for us in particular, there's two angles. One is validation and one is discovery. So, we develop these sensors and we have an expectation of how they work, but we ultimately engage with universities. So we got relationships with UWA, CSU, etc., Curtin University in Perth. We use that to kind of validate our product, and because we need to get that tick in the box because we need veterinary approval. So building up that cache of approval is absolutely critical for us. The second aspect is discovery, and VetChip, we got a massive vision. We got a huge vision, and to achieve our vision, we need to be able to do certain things and in some ways redefine the state of the art. And when it comes to that aspect, that's when we know that we'd love to do this and we could dive into it, but realistically, we're not the people to do it. That's when we get the likes of CSIRO, etc., on board. So we've engaged in a CSIRO Kickstarter for doing some pretty clever battery technology. The end of which the first phase is about to happen. So super excited about that. But there are many instances that we see in the future where we will be redefining the state of the art, and that's when we hand the baton over and hope to get a good result out of it.
Awesome. So to circle back to our initial question, I would like to ask you what shifts you'd like to see to transform our farm system towards a more sustainable future. Let's start with you, Daniel.
Or do you want to start?
You want to go first?
I'll start. I think Danielle's got a far more powerful closing, so I'll have the boring part. Look, I think the important thing is, it's in a busy, difficult, often challenging environment. You need to have a mechanism to de-risk, and so government, how government gets involved, whether it's financial, whether it's policy, whether it's whatever, it needs to be able to de-risk the adoption of something that's going to have a longer term benefit down the track, and they need to engender a sense of trust in the process and the system. So as I'm a farmer over here, and I know that to be sustainable in the future, I need to do X, Y, and Z. But I've got these forces today saying you can worry about X, Y, and Z later. Ultimately, you put it off too long, it's going to be a problem. So by having some mechanism whereby you can actually start ticking some of these boxes, start getting trust in the process, getting trust in the system, knowing that you've got a cookie cutter mechanism for going from where you are today to where you've got to be, is in my view what's probably the most influential thing that governments could potentially play to get real sustainability.
Valuable insights. Thank you, Zyrus. How about you, Daniel? What shifts you'd like to see?
So I am going to echo something that was said earlier around let's build on what works. So let's use some successful strategies that are already out there. Australian Wool Innovation and Woolmark have actually catapulted merino wool onto the global stage for sustainability with an ad campaign that's being shown at the moment during the Olympics. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it uses an Olympic-sized swimming pool worth of fossil fuels every 25 minutes to make synthetic clothing. Wool, on the other hand, is sustainable, biodegradable, and recyclable. And so that's one example. My second example is, why is New Zealand merino wool so famous that demand outstrips supply. They have 3 million merino sheep, and we have over 45 billion merino sheep. Well, I can tell you why, because they started at the grassroots and they went around to every gift shop in New Zealand and made sure in every town that they all sold New Zealand merino products. As a result, the tourists and the locals bought them, loved them, and continue to buy them to this day. So we actually know these people, and they want to do the same thing here in Australia as soon as I can secure the funding. So we can actually transform the industry. And so if we back our Aussie farmers with successful initiatives, and the government, we back these successful initiatives, then the Australian government will be seen as leading the world in sustainability. So thank you very much, everyone.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for valuable insights. I really enjoy having this conversation with you. Let's give another round of applause to Daniel from Zondi and Zyrus from VetChip. And please make sure to connect with Dan during the day. Thank you.
Thank you.